again, now we've gone from a nation of perpetual war against a foreign enemy to all of the big guns and all of the U.S. military intelligence assets being turned against the American people. And Dave, if Americans don't understand they're in the sights of these devils, then I don't know what you and I can do outside of, basically scream and scream and scream, yell, talk, reason, plead, pray, even cry out loud that, oh, God, open their eyes, lest they be destroyed in an instant.
I had someone say to me the other day, Dave, the enemy is almost at the gate. And I looked at him and I said, the enemy is inside your house, they're inside your church, they're inside your schools, they are everywhere. And I had a discussion last night with a talk show host out in California. We face overwhelming, insurmountable challenges. And I do agree with what you said earlier, that we are truly looking at needing a spiritual revival, because I think spiritual solutions might be our last line of defense.
Steve, I know of two families in particular, and I know a whole lot more casually, that were members of alphabet soup agencies, members of FEMA, DHS, you name it, and they have gone into seclusion. Many of them left late last year in November, December timeframe to live in pre-planned communities with people that are like-minded from the same agencies that they worked in. I know two of the families very well. People have sometimes doubted my story on this, but I've been in their homes. I know them personally. They're not joking about what's coming. One of the things that I fear is coming is an invasion, because of the massive amounts of sightings I'm getting sent to me with regarding Russian troops in Alaska. We know now they're operating DHS vehicles in Tennessee. Sherry Wilcox has pictures of this. Russian soldiers in Walmart in Houston, Russian soldiers in Colorado Springs at Fort Carson. And then we shared information on this about what you knew from your sources regarding Chinese soldiers in the Sierra Madres and down further in Central America. Pick it up from there, please, and tell us what you know.
Well, first of all, Robert Jones deserves the credit that before he got off his website due to issues that somebody put a lot of pressure on him, Robert was the one that brought to my attention a letter that was sent literally to Vladimir Putin by Janet Napolitano during the first part of Obama's presidency, requesting Russian troops to come to the United States to help disarm the American public. Now, let me share this. I believe that the United States is done. I want to make that clear, okay? That doesn't mean people are done and everyone's going to die. But I want you to understand that the invasion isn't coming. It's already here. Materials are already in place. Secret flights landing all over the country. Entire radar systems in North Dakota going down for a 12-hour period that's never happened before. Well, meanwhile, Chinese troops land in C-130 and Galaxy transports and then are helicoptered off. The point being, under George Bush, I had a listener, Dave, who was at the Seattle docks or one of the, and forgive me, I'm having a mental block on the docks where Boeing Field is out in the ocean, basically watching thousands of Chinese troops unload. And actually, there was a story that George Bush allowed the Chinese to bring a military police contingency in to perfect their commercial liens. If most people who have mortgages, by the way, I have one, if most people who have mortgages recognize that it's either the Chinese or the Arab cartels that own their mortgages and understood the fine print, they would understand the statement that it's a fait accompli. In other words, the feat is already accomplished. Our military has absolutely turned a deaf eye and ear to the Chinese and to the Russians. We've had Soviet bombers, nuclear bombers over Guam. We've had the Russian submarine that went for a month undetected in the Gulf. We've got perpetual movement of massive amounts of troops into this country. Spetsnaz, Russian special forces, they're all over the country from Alaska to Hawaii. The point that is important for everyone to realize is this, that the argument that there are 300 million guns in America and no one would dare come in, I'll explain how they're going to do it.
And Steve, 300 million handguns and the presence of foreign national troops designed to, let's say, disarm the American people, I think is a fair way to put it. What's going to happen?
Well, first of all, every neighborhood, every county, every block area has already been basically assayed, if you will. It's been investigated, and it's been plotted. Let's say, Dave, there are 100 gun owners in a 2-mile square area. Those gun owners are pretty much known. They may not know every weapon, but they know that they've assigned a specific group of troops to go in and to basically not take the guns away. This is the hardest thing for me to tell people. I'm sorry to have to say it. You can take the guns away from a gun owner, maybe he hid one that you don't know. You're not going to deal with them. You're going to basically blow them away. This is why they've brought so many foreign troops into this country. The red list, the blue list, and the green list were given to me by a former head of the Environmental Protection Agency who was murdered for giving this information almost 15 years ago. During that time, 15 years ago, there were 3.2 million, primarily on the red list. It was gun owners, it was constitutionalists, it was militia members, it was people who were outspoken, it was the vehement, if you will, anti-communists, and then it even expanded to Bible-believing Christians. It expanded to homeschoolers. And that at that point is when it expanded to vets. Well, Dave, the point is that when you've got as many foreign troops in this country, and let me share this. This is the dumbass statement number one. Well, I sure don't see them. That's because your head is giving yourself a self-imposed proctological examination, and if you get your head out of where it doesn't belong and start looking around and starting to do your homework, you'd find it out. Now, look, this is too late in the game to pull any punches. I will not pull any punches again. We are in the position now of absolutely having hit teams, Viper squads. We've got, it is in motion. No one would have believed that National Defense Authorization Act 1867 would be in effect. It is. No one would believe we've got 30,000 drones, not 4 years from now. And unless you've ever had a Predator over your head at 100 feet, I have. The bottom line is you don't get the reality of how close we all are to eternity. So what I've done, Dave, is gone pretty much from warning to preparing to now I'm telling people, get right with Jesus. And I'm serious about that. There is no way the natural mind, or no matter how good your skills are, I don't care if you're the best sniper that came out of the Marine Corps or the Navy SEALs. Wait a minute, they just murdered him. You know, the bottom line is that you cannot fight that which you cannot see. You cannot in the natural. The bottom
Steve,
line,
we're going into break. We're going to hold it right there. When we come back, we're going to pick it up right at this exact point. Stay tuned, everybody. Back in 3 minutes. Steve, we got red, blue, and green list. I think I know which one you're on, and I fear which one I'm on. I've been told by my people in Intel, some of these ex-Intel who took off and went into hiding, that they are accumulating threat matrix scores on everybody based on websites you go to, keywords on your phone calls, emails, and so forth. Is that your understanding as well?
Yep, and it even goes beyond a threat matrix. It goes to what's called an assassination algorithm, okay? And the point that's critical for people to know is, again, they don't care about the amount of guns. First of all, most people are totally, even veterans, are not as brought up to speed on modern warfare. You can have all the SKSs or whatever, how many guns and ammo and et cetera, but if you don't have night vision, you're toast the minute an infrared laser goes on your chest and a suppressed weapon from 1,500 yards away goes pop. You know, again, modern warfare is kind of, how should I say this, everything you've seen in the Middle East was nothing, in my opinion, but a trading ground for what's coming here. Now, there's a lot of good American servicemen and women, and obviously when you hear of hundreds of admirals and generals and officers being early outed out of the military, when you hear of oaths of allegiance no longer being taken to the Constitution of the United States, but to the President of the United States, when you see all this and when you hear the chief of, the admiral that's in charge of the Pacific basically saying global warming is the number one trouble or problem, I'd say, yeah, especially when it comes in a nuclear package, courtesy of either China or North Korea. I could not believe some of the statements coming out. It's like this. You couldn't look for a more insane or traitorous defense posture than the United States now is embracing with making the American serviceman his number one enemy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a real story. And Dave, I want to just tell people this. I don't anticipate that we've got much time left. I've said that for a number of years, but there's a time when you move from the prophetic future into the present now. Dave, it's troubling to me. Somebody, I get this all the time. Well, tell me what you really know. I can't do it because if I can't get people to even act in their own best interest to try and save their families, what good does it tell them about stuff that, number one, is beyond what their ability to see now, though they're beginning to see it, and number two, if they haven't done anything with the critical information that you and others have provided all these years, what makes us think that the strength of an argument will move them? That's why I'm telling everybody, the word for today, 3 times over, repent, 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 and get right with Jesus, because this thing's going to turn into a battle of unprecedented and absolutely never before experienced in history. That's the words of Jesus. And the thing that is astonishing to me is the American veterans are now in the scope of some of the most highly trained assassins. And, Dave, I pled with them 2 years ago. I did, the veterans. I said, listen, you guys, they're going to deny your rights to get firearms. They're going to basically cut off your funding for the VA. And guess what? 950,000 vets are waiting. And Dave, I've tried, honestly, I've tried to get people to get active. Even on my website, stevequayle.com, I've got a guitar that I'm raffling, and I'm pitching this because a portion of the proceeds, a big portion of proceeds, are going to go to the vets. Okay, so if somebody wants a chance for $100 to win a $50,000 guitar, the golden thing is worth over $5,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that. See, when I try and do this, I try and get help to the vets. The bottom line is that I told them, and I just got consistent. Our government would never do that. Well, look what they're doing. We've got foreign troops in here. We've got professional mercenaries that are making $100K plus all the bonus money and being paid under the table, and the American serviceman's losing his home, his wife, his family, and his limbs, and that infuriates me, okay? It infuriates me. Someone has got to speak